Justin, you've been to
Right.
Africa a number of times, mate, several times, and you've played at Joburg at Ellis Park. You've been there commentating. Do you ever get used to it?
Well, yeah, to a certain degree, I guess it becomes really familiar when you've been to South Africa a lot and you get to know the idiosyncrasies of it, because it is a place that you have to kind of like to put it in simplistic terms, respect, because there are things to do and things not to do, and then equally in terms of training venues, altitude is a big factor in arriving here. I don't think there's any secret in the fact that South Africa always set you up for that first test either in Johannesburg or Pretoria, because you've got to adjust for that week in terms of your training, and again you get that dryness of the altitude and the fatigue that is not usual in places that you visit. But once you're used to it and you know the system, then you just basically click into your usual rhythm.
I'm asking that question, mate, because there are several members of the posse that have arrived in South Africa for the All Blacks that haven't been there. This is Razor's first match in charge as All Black coach, and I'm just wondering sort of how much of just the environment, where you are, the occasion, the importance of it all, and just playing them at their place. How much of this you have to kind of just breathe and absorb before you get into your work?
Yeah, I know what you're hinting at, Marty, and you're right. Look, there are members in that All Black side that won't have been here and been able to experience playing as All Blacks, if at all, even playing in South Africa, and that can be quite daunting. There's nothing like Ellis Park. I remember when we were one of the early years when we were coming here, and Ellis Park was basically feverish for us and our arrival. And you drive down this little sort of square as you're entering into Ellis Park, and to give people an idea of what it's like, you then go through these big gates and you go underground, and the bus basically goes underground, and you get out and make your way up into the changing rooms. But on that drive before the gates, that's where everybody's entering the ground. And this particular year, we were driving down that area, and there were South African supporters in their green jerseys, and they were just chanting "Boka, Boka, Boka," and they were on either side of the bus. And then, for whatever reason, they just decided to start pushing the bus. So there were people on both sides of the bus, and it was rocking either side, and they were screaming "Boka, Boka" at us as we were driving up to the gate. Then, when security took over and drove us down, where the hell do you get that anywhere else in the world? So, look, I don't think you can ever prepare for that. I don't think anybody can tell you what it's going to be like. You just simply have to have the composure and the focus that you're turning up in a hostile environment, because it is hostile, and make sure that you're not intimidated by it. In fact, you relish it. You're out there to go, you know what? You can rock the bus all you want. You can throw those little orange Naji things onto the field and try and unsettle us as much as you want. You can bring altitude into it.
Yeah.
We don't care. We're just here to beat you in your own backyard, and then we'll see who has the last laugh.
Leon MacDonald leaving. What do you know about this? What have you heard about this? And look, these two guys are not only old teammates, they're great mates as well. So do you kind of get the feeling like I do that, I don't know, something's gone wrong here. I'm not sure that it's just a few arguments or something, but there's something gone wrong.
Yeah, yeah, and you would have thought that due diligence would have been done, and I was really surprised actually. In fact, I was shocked, to be honest, when I heard the news. And look, we've been down this pathway before with these two coaches, obviously from a Crusaders perspective, where they were working together and then they couldn't work together. And Leon's ambition was to want to move on and be a head coach, because he felt that he was hamstrung by being an assistant coach. And you would have thought that they had those conversations to make sure that those feelings that he had, which ultimately made him leave the Crusaders, had been sorted out and ironed out, and they had gone on the same page. But I think quite clearly, we've spoken about this, Marty. There's a lot of voices in that camp now, with lots of coaches in specific areas, and you just get the feeling that Leon wasn't getting his coaching boots on that he likes to have on, and maybe having the input that he wanted to have. And look, there's no doubt you've spoken to me, mate, and we've been, I guess, down this pathway before that I'm not convinced that we are where we need to be, game plan wise, selection wise. And obviously, as an assistant coach, he felt that way as well. Ultimately, when I look at it, mate, at the end of the day, if he's feeling that way and he's not happy, the worst thing that you can have is somebody in that environment that's not happy, because it'll be 100% felt by the players. It'll be visible, even though you're feeling like you're keeping it to yourself or within the coaching group. And equally, if somebody's not happy with the philosophy, which is what we've heard, and the game plan and the direction that this team is going, then that person will have an adverse effect on the success of the team. So there was something that wasn't quite right, and to use that, what the word they were using, they just weren't clicking. Then the best thing has happened to get that out of that environment. Otherwise, it's dysfunctional.
Justin Marshall is with us. He is in Africa. First test of 2 coming this weekend. All right, what do we have to do different, mate? A couple of parts to this question. First, I'll ask you, glass half full, glass half empty with the All Blacks where we're at right at the moment.
I knew this was coming, to be perfectly honest,
Go
from you. I'm a glass half full type of person, and I don't even know how the glass half empty sort of situation works. But I always think, you know what? If I'm having a beer, I'd rather have it on the half full side rather than the under the bar. So that's how I roll. Look, I'll open minded and open heartedly say that at the moment where we have left New Zealand is not in the right sort of form to be able to beat South Africa at Ellis Park at the weekend. We need to make some significant shifts this week in terms of how we're going to approach this blitz umbrella style defence, but equally in our mindset of breaking down that 100-metre field as to where we are prepared to play in it. And I've just seen too many times where we've got frustrated by the defence that is suffocating us in and around areas where usually we retain the ball and we kick it away. And if we do that, they've got such a really good back three. They've got a much more attacking mindset. We'll basically be playing into exactly what they want us to do. So we've got to change our attitude. And if we don't do that, then we are going to be massively walking up a big, big hill that I don't think we'll ever get over the top of in 80 minutes.
What team do you want to see selected, Justin? There's obviously a couple of changes coming, isn't there? Because Scott Barrett comes back in, and we all assume he's going to play lock. I mean, is there a suggestion he might even play 6? Who plays halfback? Let's look at the back 3. We've got no Ethan de Groot, so that's a huge loss for us. But if you're selected today, who is the team that you'd like to see?
Again, I've got this mindset of just really not being, I guess, feeling that we've got the right balance in the back row. When you look at what back row they're going to select, they're big, hard-running, fit men, and they will challenge you physically, and we've got to get our balance right, and we're not going to get that right unless we solve that number 8 situation. But the problem that I have, Marty, is you asked me that question, and I already know the direction I feel that this team needs to go in, but I already can see the direction Scott Robertson is heading towards, which is he's quite happy that Ardie Savea is a number 8. He looks reasonably happy that Rieko Ioane is a centre, and he's quite comfortable, even though he never, ever selected Will Jordan on the wing, that Will Jordan's a winger. So for whatever reason, some of the areas where I feel that we just need to show a little bit more to the defence than what we have shown by putting individuals in different jerseys, that doesn't seem to be the way that he's thinking. So I suspect it's going to be a very predictable team. You're right about mentioning Scott Barrett coming into the mix, but you probably could say that the positions where I would like to see some changes, they're not going to happen. And that's just been through consistency in what Scott Robertson wanted to do. So it's a hard question for me to answer, simply because I feel for us to grow and to show that difference in game plan and game management and be more positive in areas that we've not been positive, the personnel are not going to change. And because of that, we're going to look the same that we've looked in the last 5 test matches.